Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. With the price of just about everything going up during inflation, we thought we'd bring our prices down. So to help us, we brought in a reverse auctioneer, which is apparently a thing.
Mint Mobile Unlimited Premium Wireless. How to get 30, 30, bit to get 30, bit to get 20, 20, 20, bit to get 20, 20, bit to get 15, 15, 15, 15, just $15 a month? Sold!
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 up front for 3 months plus taxes and fees. Promo rate for new customers for limited time. Unlimited more than 40 gigabytes per month. Slows full terms at mintmobile.com.
The first step I outlined in the book is recognizing your reality. Because I think we love rose-colored glasses. We love just thinking, oh, it's just temporary, or, oh, it's too much trouble for them, I'll do it, or whatever it is, right? But 9 times out of 10, I just think that our nurturing nature has us maybe not seeing a real situation for what it really is. So, you can't make good choices without really understanding what a situation is and what it means to you.
This is Your Kick-Ass Life podcast, episode number 375 with guest Karen Wright.
This is the Your Kick-Ass Life podcast with Andrea Owen, a no BS guide to self-help and badassery. Because ladies, let's face it, life's too short for it to not kick ass. And here's your host, the girl who serves it up straight with a side of crazy, Andrea Owen.
Hey there, ass kickers. Welcome to another episode of the podcast. I am so glad that you are here, and I sincerely hope that you are well. I have such a fun guest on for you today, and I knew I had to have her on as soon as I heard the title of her book, which I'm going to tell you about in just a minute. But before I do that, I want to tell you that we have a couple of spots open for private coaching, either with me or my lead coach, Liz. A couple of amazing women have come on board to start their private coaching, and we still have room for a couple more. One of the things that I do very well, if I do say so myself, is help women who are wanting to write and publish a book. Whether you are wanting to self-publish or go the traditional publishing route, I can help you with any and all of it, as well as help you write a proposal. It is a daunting task if you have never done it before, or even really if you have, if maybe you've started a proposal, or even if you have no idea what a book proposal is and aren't sure if you need one. Shoot us an email and we're happy to hear you out, see what's going on in your life, and see if it would be a great fit for you to come on board and do some consulting with me. I'm actually working with someone right now who had such a great idea for a book, and she had no idea where to start in terms of the proposal. And we've had 3 sessions, and her proposal is almost completely fleshed out, ready to be sent off in query emails to agents and then shop to publishers. So it's a very exciting process. I know that there is probably a handful of you listening, and that is one of your dreams. So shoot us an email, support@yourkickasslife.com. See if it would be a good fit. Or if you want to apply for coaching, you can go to yourkickasslife.com/apply. All right, let's get on with the show. Let me tell you a little bit about our guest. Karen Wright is one of the pioneers of the coaching profession and works with executives, founders, professionals, and entrepreneurs around the world to help them achieve the elusive combination of success, health, and happiness. She is a master certified coach, the top designation granted by the International Coaching Federation. And she is a certified health coach from the Institute of Integrated Nutrition, has a certificate in applied positive psychology, has studied the neuroscience applications of coaching, and is a licensed mindfulness trainer. Karen is the author of the recently released The Accidental Alpha Woman, the guide to thriving when life feels overwhelming. I can't wait for you to hear this conversation. So without further ado, here is Karen. Karen, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
I am already excited because we have similar energy, I can tell, as we've been chatting before the call. And the title of your book, The Accidental Alpha Woman, I love it already. So, I'm curious, tell us your personal experience that inspired you to write this book.
Oh my gosh. I was married and had 2 young kids. and was in a situation. So got married kind of a little bit later, sort of, late 30s. And, when you get married at that point, generally people come into it with some, equal incomes, or, both have got some, have been established a little bit.
Yeah.
So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So we had created this life with a nice house and a nice neighborhood and so on. And it was based on a 2-income situation. And so I was in early days in my coaching practice. I'm an executive coach. So I was relatively early days at that. And kids are, 4 and 6 or something at this point. And all of a sudden, one day, my former husband says, oops, I don't have any money right now. And, I go into the more details of the story in the book, but all of a sudden, so in a flash, I was the sole breadwinner in this very busy, very expensive house. I wasn't happy about it. First of all, I was devastated, and all my trust in this individual gone in a heartbeat and all of that. And then, of course, being, the problem-solving woman that I am, okay, so what do I have to do to sort this and ensure that we all continue to eat? As I say, this was not what I signed up for. It was not what I expected, not what I had planned for, not the relationship I thought that I was in. And I was so upset by the disconnect, by the gap, that tension between what I thought I was in and what I ended up being in. And I love a good alliteration, as like any good word nerd. And somewhere along the way, I described myself as an accidental alpha. And anytime I mentioned that to another woman, I got this immediate connection. Oh my gosh, I get what that is. Oh, I think I'm one, So, and this happened over and over and over again. And so, time goes on and my life kind of takes its course, and I am still getting resonance with this accidental alpha idea. And eventually I decided I had to do something with it. Now, it has taken me ages to actually do something with it because I've tried several ways, but that's the genesis of it, is that I found myself in a situation where I was having to be something that I hadn't intended to be. And then I discovered there are an awful lot of other women out there in the world who have been in the same situation for different reasons, sometimes for the same reasons, but for different reasons too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Taking care of maybe aging parents, or being suddenly a single mother. I mean, there's lots of different ways someone a woman can find herself suddenly in charge.
Definitely. Even having lived in anticipation of one day sharing life and maybe not having ended up with that. So being the solo kind of caregiver for yourself and all of the aging parents and whatnot, which is just not what you thought it was going to be. So yeah, lots of different ways into this, but the accidental piece is where the tension lies.
Mm-hmm. Okay. The accidental piece. Well, I want to just from a kind of curiosity standpoint, and maybe sort of a cautionary tale, because you talk about in the book, and I don't want to spend a whole lot of time here, but you talk about in the book, like your ex-husband had like maxed out his credit cards and even dipped into his retirement. And I'm like, as someone who's also came out of a former marriage where someone was hiding a whole lot of bad stuff from me.
Yep.
What did you walk away with? Yeah. Like, can you tell us just a little bit more about that?
The story was he was an entrepreneur. When I met him, he was a really successful entrepreneur, his own company, big vision, lots of charisma. And when his company was running well, it was running really well. Yeah. So he really knew what he was doing. And then I knew he was trying to take the business a different direction. And I knew he'd been having some challenges with it. What I didn't know was the degree to which. So he'd taken on a big office and lots of staff and so on. And then all of a sudden in this pivotal moment when he told me he didn't have any money, what I learned was that he had been covering payroll on his MasterCard, and he had sunk not just some of, but all of the retirement savings into keeping the business afloat while he tried to take it this new direction that just wasn't working. And so all of a sudden there was nothing.
That's what I'm more kind of, I wanted to know, like, what did you learn from it? And what would your advice be to someone who is, because walking, especially, I think it's poignant that you went into this relationship and marriage when the two of you were already established. But I do think that it's advice for women who partner up, when they're in their 30s or 40s, or in their, when they're younger in their 20s, about talking about finances, because I just feel like it's such an important thing that I was never taught. I mean, all my mom said was, don't ever rely on a man for money. That was it.
Well, at least that's a good start. It
was something, right? But I ended up doing it anyway in my first marriage. Anyway, it's another story for another time. But I encourage people, like, talk about money with your partner, like on the second date. Not 100%. Don't wait until you get married.
100%. So there are a couple of pieces of advice I give. When people say, well, what advice would you give to women, particularly younger women sort of venturing into the world? So number one for me is check the family's mental health history.
Oh, okay.
Because, if there are issues that run in the family, they might show up later and you just need to be ready. I'm not saying avoid somebody if there are issues. I'm just saying, like, know whether or not that's something you want to deal with. Number two, by all means, talk about money. And more broadly, make it clear what's important to you. And so in my case, I had been 100% transparent about the fact that I have a family history where lying and money and security were a problem. And so safety and security are really, really, really important to me. Mm-hmm. And so for me, the issue was less about the specifics of the money and more about the fact that all of a sudden I felt unsafe. And that was the unacceptable thing. And so with a conversation about values, I have another girlfriend who had a situation where she discovered she'd been lied to. And when she met her now current husband, he asked her basically, how do we make this work? And she just said, never lie to me. Mm-hmm. Right. I can deal with almost anything as long as you never lie to me.
Yeah. Just tell me.
Right. So if you're just clear about what's important to you and have some of those agreements, then everybody knows whether the agreements are being honored.
Yes. Okay. All right. Thank you for that little side street that we went on.
Sorry.
I know when I was, I'm looking at your book, and especially for anyone that reads the back of it. So I'm just going to read just this quick first paragraph. You're doing it all, and it's too much between work, kids, parents, money, meals, and everything else on your plate. It's no wonder you're exhausted. You feel alone, misunderstood, and sometimes hopeless, because let's face it, the idea of being a quote unquote strong woman is highly overrated. So, this is a bit of an obvious question, but let's just start here. Like, what do you think the reason is that women feel the need to sort of carry the world on their shoulders and be strong?
I think we've evolved not in a good way into a place where we've accepted lots of new opportunities and not shifted our perception of what role we play in the traditional places.
Mm-hmm.
So,
say more about that.
Well, so, I run a business. That's amazing. It's a good sized business. It's got a lot of responsibility attached to it. If I don't allow myself to get help in some of the other areas of my life, then I'm trying to do too much. It's a math problem that doesn't work. Mm-hmm. And so, as women have taken on more roles, I think we've struggled to let go of some of the ones that have been more traditionally ours. And I don't know if there's a bit of pride attached to that, or whether we just haven't educated the systems around us well enough. Right? Both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I say, I think it leans more to culture and gender roles.
Yeah, I think so. No, mm-hmm. I think so. And somehow this sense of, well, I should be able to handle it all. And the should is a big problem. Mm-hmm. Because again, it ends up being a math problem. It's if I'm doing 3 full-time jobs, then the math doesn't work.
Exactly. I love that it's a math problem. I've never heard it in that perspective, and that resonates very much. And Shopify's already taken the cash register online, helping millions sell billions around the world. But did you know that Shopify can do the same thing at your retail store? Give your point of sale system a serious upgrade with Shopify. With Shopify, you get a powerhouse selling partner that effortlessly unites your in-person and online sales into one source of truth. Track every sale across your business in one place and know exactly what's in stock. Connect with customers inline and online. Shopify helps you drive store traffic with plug-and-play tools built for marketing campaigns from TikTok to Instagram and beyond. Get hardware that fits your business. Take payments by smartphone, transform your tablet into a point of sale system, or use Shopify's POS Go mobile device for a battle-tested solution. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/noise, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/noise to take your retail business to the next level today. Shopify.com/noise. Fast forward to the end of 2024 and think about your goals. What can you do right now to give yourself the best chance of succeeding? If you want to learn a new language, you absolutely should get Babbel. Don't pay hundreds of dollars for private tutors or waste hours on apps that don't really help you speak the language. Babbel's quick 10-minute lessons are handcrafted by over 200 language experts to help you start speaking a new language in as little as 3 weeks. Babbel's designed by real people for real conversations. Studies from Yale, Michigan State University, and others continue to prove Babbel is better. One study found that using Babbel for 15 hours is equivalent to a full semester at college. Now it's so easy to speak simple conversation phrases with the guy that takes care of my lawn without having to consult language apps. Here's a special limited time deal for our listeners. Right now, get up to 60% off your Babbel subscription, but only for our listeners at babbel.com/noise. Get up to 60% off at babbel.com/noise, spelled BABBEL.com/noise. Rules and restrictions may apply. There's been a lot of talk and articles out there because of COVID and the pandemic and how women are hurt the most. And definitely it's, marginalized communities for sure.
For
People
sure.
of color, poor people. And just, if you look at women in general, there was a really great New York Times article that came out late in 2020 about how women are bearing the brunt of this. They're the ones
Yes.
losing jobs the most, and also they're caretaking the most.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of those things where it takes a huge problem like this, like a pandemic, for our most glaring problems to become
Agreed.
even more obvious.
Yes.
What have you seen? I'm sure you've seen sort of an uptick in this struggle as COVID-19 hit.
I have. And I've also seen at the privileged end of the spectrum, people just opting out of careers. And there's a huge statistic on that as well. So yes, in the marginalized and service industries. And so, that's a problem that's been sort of economically driven. The stress load of the homeschooling and the caregiving and all of that is such that there are women who might otherwise have been able to juggle reasonably well. And they've recently said, nope, I can't do it. This is too much, and I'm going to have to just get rid of one of my roles because the others have taken on a way bigger place in my life and schedule than I had previously kind of created them to be.
Yeah. Well, I fall into that privileged category of, and it was sort of on accident, no pun intended with your book title, but we had decided in 2019 that my husband would leave his job, and it was all planned out. My career was finally at a place where we could do that. And that was never really the goal. I know that it is a lot of goals for women entrepreneurs. It really wasn't. It just sort of organically happened. And it was really bad timing. His last day was March 13th, 2020, when I started canceling school. I know. And we were losing our health insurance and had to pay for private health insurance, which, as you know, is very affordable in the United States. But I was texting him that Friday and I'm like, can you stay? Can you tell them because there was so much uncertainty, especially in those first handful of weeks. But my point is that, and I was sort of the accidental alpha woman, where my husband and I had to have some candid conversations about gender roles and what we expected of each other, like what our beliefs were. And I asked him, and I'm like, we need to tell the truth to each other, even if we know the other person isn't going to like it.
Well, but that's fundamental to any relationship. Like, let's have the difficult conversation and know that if we have it, we'll be okay.
Right.
But let's not avoid it for fear of not being okay.
Yeah, because I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to be irritated that you think this is quote unquote woman's work.
Oh my gosh.
It should be a mom's thing. But I needed to know. And it's not his fault, really. Like, it's just how the culture raised him and his family raised him. And me too.
Well,
it's the same.
Right. I mean, I was the same. My mother was a stay-at-home mother. And every time any of her sort of, outside the home interest grew a little bit too big, my father got very upset because he didn't feel like he was getting the right kind of attention. Right. My former husband was raised in a very, very traditional house where his mother was like a cordon bleu level cook and a gardener, and, everything was perfect all the time. And so that, he had a certain experience. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I don't know that it was an overt expectation, but it was certainly his lived experience. And a big change from that didn't seem to be really interesting to him.
Yeah. And I find that it's this, and this is what you write about in the book. It's sort of this catch-22 / double-edged sword, if you will, of women feeling like they need to do all of the work. Mm-hmm. And, many of them are career women, and some of them are parents, some of them are not, but also at the same time, be strong. And that is just a recipe for burnout, which is another topic we've had on this show. But can you talk about because I really like to talk about the whole concept of quote unquote being strong when it comes to women. Mm-hmm. Tell us your take on that.
Well, I think we've poorly defined strong, because for me, strong includes the willingness to be transparent and vulnerable and say, I need help. Mm-hmm. And that's where I think we've taken a wrong turn on strong. Strong doesn't mean stoically independent at all cost. Strong means I know how my strength shows up and what I need to continue to be strong. And I'm willing to go looking for the things that I need that will enable me to continue to be strong for the things I need to be strong for. I'll go to the mat to be strong for my kids. I'm perfectly okay with somebody else delivering my groceries.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I like that. I really like grocery delivery.
It's one of my favorites. But, there's another woman I know who at one point in her situation decided that picking her kids up from school was transportation. And she was very comfortable outsourcing transportation because it gave her an hour that she could use to get some other things wrapped up. So when her kids did arrive home, she could be fully present. Mm-hmm. Whereas in her particular neighborhood, the judgment around, you don't pick your kids up from school and you really could. Well, that's just wrong. Well, it was wrong. For her, that was a choice that felt perfectly comfortable and in fact really helped her. But, to fly in the face of the mummies in the neighborhood, that was tough.
That is really hard. And I think I just want to pause for a moment to let's have a moment of silence for the depth of the difficulty that it is to choose to be in the discomfort of being judged and choose mm-hmm. yourself and essentially your family.
Oh, please. Yes.
Avoiding the judgment and spending hours doing a task that you could, hand off to someone else.
Yeah. Well, and for me, it boils down to what's important to you. Mm-hmm. Because if we can all get clear on what's important to us each as individuals and in the context of the people we care about, and then operate based on those choices and not let other people's opinion and other people's choices drive how we live our own lives, I think we'd be a whole lot better.
Yes. One of the things, and this is a small thing, like a side note that I just want to leave right here. When I started to, when my career started to pick up and I did things like asked a neighbor to carpool, and it wasn't a carpool. I wasn't participating. I was just wanted her to pick up this one, one of my children. And then every once in a while when I would travel for work and I would need childcare, after school childcare, and I would have them, go with a friend, I would insist on paying them. And I got a lot of pushback from moms, and they're like, no, if there was an exchange, if we were doing play date exchange, that was different. But I mean, some of these moms were, they didn't have kids, my kids' age. So there was not going to be an exchange. And to me, and I would tell the moms this, and they would kind of look at me like I was nuts. And I said, this is a feminist issue for me. I am not going to rely on your free labor
Agreed.
to do this job. So
Lovely.
I am going to pay you. And I would Venmo them or just, like slip, Target gift cards in their purse when they weren't looking, and they'd find them and text me, thank you. And it came down to a feminist issue for me. I will not accept it for free.
I agree with you so much. And I also think if the money conversation is too uncomfortable, there are other ways. And I love the slipping the gift card here, or I would have meals delivered.
Okay.
Find ways to acknowledge the fact that they've done something valuable to you.
Yeah. Yeah. And I just, it pained me to add more labor to their plate. And so I would have it be a conversation, and I would acknowledge their discomfort. I didn't want to be dismissive or judge their discomfort, because I get it, but it was important to me. Let's talk about the solution, and what are some ways in which, and this is a gigantic question. Tell us all the ways in which, how do we overcome this? How do we fix it? Hit us with anything.
Well, the first thing is admitting you have a problem.
Uh-huh.
Admitting that everything I'm doing is a combination in a format that is taking me down slowly but surely. And I think that if you look in the mirror and you're not really crazy about who you see, you might want to take a look at kind of how you're spending your time and what you're doing. The first step I outlined in the book is recognizing your reality. Because I think we love rose-colored glasses. We love just thinking, oh, it's just temporary, or, oh, it's too much trouble for them, I'll do it, or whatever it is, right? But 9 times out of 10, I just think that our nurturing nature has us maybe not seeing a real situation for what it really is. So, you can't make good choices without really understanding what a situation is and what it means to you. And then, having the guts to make some small changes. And sometimes it does take guts, to the discussion we were just having. So, and I also think that, scrolling. So I have this model in the book that I outline sort of step by step.
I love it. Well, it's an acronym, and I love the acronym. The R.E.C.E.I.V.E framework. So the R is recognize your reality, what you just talked about.
Yeah. E is evaluating it. What does it mean to you? Because any given situation might mean something different to you than to me. And choosing is the C, to choose your path forward and really choose, not try to do all the things anymore. And E is managing your energy. Because again, like we've said, we can't do it all. And we're usually not doing enough to add to our energy versus all the things we do that depletes our energy. I is initiative, that asking for help, that reaching out. I need something. I am lonely. I'm, whatever it is, right? So I'm astrologically a Leo. I like to be the center of the universe. I'm absolutely sure everyone should see me and approach me with the things that they should intuitively know that I need. It doesn't happen. So to actually reach out and ask for what we need is a big step. And one of the things I love in the one step that I love in the framework is the idea of voice, is finding your voice, maintaining or recreating a connection to something that's uniquely you, because that's where we get a lot of energy. And that's where we start to really, build our self-esteem. So that's kind of a fun step, but also one that a lot of really busy women let languish. They just, forget about, oh, I used to love doing this, or I used to have so much fun doing that. So, to reconnect with some of those things. And then the last E is ease, and finding those ways of creating a little more ease in your life, a little bit less struggle. But the whole idea of receive is based on the fact that in general, I think most of us don't receive very much all that well or comfortably. To your conversation about acknowledging the contributions of the women that were helping you out. Oh, I don't need anything. Well, hang on. What if you just said thank you? Right? What if I gave you something and you just said thank you?
Yeah. Yeah, I was a little more forceful than that. that would have been good.
I love it.
Yeah, no, I help people accept compliments like that instead of, what I found myself doing, speaking of compliments, when someone would compliment me on something that I was wearing, I would tell them I got it on sale. And I'm like, what is that? Like, how come I can't just say thank you? Like, I have to.
Exactly. Why do I have to apologize for, right?
Or qualify it.
Yeah. Or make it seem like it was no big deal when in fact I really scoured the earth to find this thing and worked really hard to look good today.
I think I look good. Yeah.
Exactly.
Feeling good as hell. Right. It's hard to find a great mentor who can help me level up. My dream mentor, Shonda Rhimes. So I was really excited when I heard she has a class on Masterclass. With Masterclass, you can learn from the best to become your best. Masterclass is the only streaming platform where you can learn and grow with over 200 plus of the world's best. For just $10 a month, an annual membership with Masterclass gets you unlimited access to every instructor. And you can access Masterclass on your phone, computer, smart TV, or even in audio mode. I'm always looking for ways to be a better writer, so I took Shonda Rhimes' screenwriting class. It helped me gain concrete technical advice, including structuring, the writing process, and with shows under her belt like Grey's Anatomy and Bridgerton, it was so helpful. Plus, every new membership comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Don't wait another moment to start your learning journey with Masterclass. Right now, our listeners get an additional 15% off any annual membership at masterclass.com/Andrea. That's 15% off at masterclass.com/Andrea. Masterclass.com/Andrea. I have definitely been in that place where my paycheck ran out before the next one got here. Life doesn't happen bi-weekly, so why should payday? The money you earn can be in your hands today with Earnin. Earnin is an app that gives you access to your pay as you work, up to $100 per day or up to $750 per pay period. Just download the Earnin app and verify your paycheck. Then access up to $100 a day as you work and leave an optional tip. Any money you access plus tips are automatically repaid from your next paycheck. You can use Earnin to pay for a girls' night out, a last-minute gift for a loved one, or even summer camp for the kids. Make Earnin a part of your financial routine and join Earnin's over 3.5 million customers who say things like, when I think about Earnin, I think about financial stability, security. It gives me a lot of peace of mind. Download Earnin today, spelled EARNIN in the Google Play or Apple App Store. When you download the Earnin app, type in noise under podcast when you sign up. It really, really helps the show. Noise under podcast. Subject to your available earnings, location, daily max, and pay period max. See earnin.com/TOS for details. Earnin is a financial technology company, not a bank. Bank products are issued by Evolve Bank and Trust, member FDIC. Well, I want to circle back to the V and receive and voice. And I love that you said that it was a fun step. And do you get pushback from, or what are the main struggles within the topic of women using their voice with your clients?
Well, it takes so many different forms that just kind of figuring out what it means to any one individual is sometimes a little bit tricky. I mean, the example I use in the book is crazy out there, Jane the pole dancer.
Yeah. Can you tell that story?
And, that's a woman who was, oh, sure. So Jane was trained as an early childhood educator, had her, got married, had her kids, realized she didn't want to go back into caring for other people's kids. Over time, just kind of got a little down and despondent and out of shape and, just kind of not really happy with who she was. And she, by accident, found an exercise class at a pole dancing studio. And I think had to be a little bit coerced by a friend to give it a try, just as a one-off, hey, wouldn't this be crazy fun? Turns out Jane loved it. Mm-hmm. And just really kind of found her thing. And of course, pole dancing in some circles has a bit of a reputation. And over time, Jane has had to deal with all kinds of haters, like all kinds of judgers and people who have said, oh, how could you do that? And, oh, that's really sleazy. And what would your kids think? And what would your husband think? And, oh my gosh, like so much.
Yeah, we can talk about that in a minute, but please continue.
Yeah. So, but Jane was adamant. She said, no, this makes me feel good and I love it. And it's good for me. And if it's good for me, it's good for my husband and family. And by the way, husband and 2 sons, totally on board, loved it, all good, right? So, Jane is a great example of an unconventional voice that she found, but man, oh man, when she found it, it transformed her as a human, as a wife, as a mother, as a business person, everything. So, and we're not all going to find pole dancing, but it just, if you have a thing that you like that helps you feel more you, or helps you express creatively, or allow a bit of your personality that's maybe been hiding under a rock for a while, like do anything you can to reconnect with it.
I love that story. And I love too that it's an example of voice that isn't necessarily the spoken voice. So it's a form of self-expression that symbolically is a woman's voice.
Yes.
At least in my opinion. And I find the same judgment
Totally agree.
with my daughter, who is, so she was 3 when she told me she did not like the clothes that I was buying her. Ooh. I bought her this cute little plaid button-up shirt from Old Navy. She rejected it. And I thought, oh my gosh, already this little girl is just incredibly fashion conscious. And I was not ever and am not. So it's been interesting to watch her style herself. And there was a long period of time where, the outfits that she would put on, and I always just let her wear, as long as it was weather appropriate, she could wear whatever she wanted. And
good for you.
Oh my gosh. It's just very outlandish, eccentric.
Great.
But, and then as she got a little bit older, I think she was around 8 or 9 when she wanted blue hair and pink hair, and she's brunette. So it's hard it's just so frustrating to get color without bleaching it. So I let her, we would do like turquoise, and then she wanted a side cut to like shave the side of her head. I think she was 10 and I let her, and it's interesting the judgment that I get. And
oh my gosh, I know.
First of all, it's just hair. Like, it's not like I'm letting her get permanent tattoos.
Right.
And to me, it's like, I don't ever want her to feel like she can't express herself. Like, do I have limits? Yes. I do not let her wear fishnet tights like she wants to, or midriffs, because she's only 11. But I want her to express herself. Like, use your voice. Like, how can I tell her to stand up for herself and express herself in that way? And then the next breath, tell her she's not allowed to wear, these neon colored boots and shave a little bit of her hair. I don't know. That's just my parenting take on it.
And mine is similar. Although I have boys, I can remember having similar conversations where I want them to self-express. I want the world to benefit from the humans that they naturally are, which is unique, and they have something to contribute that no one else can contribute because they're not them. And I think that all of us would be better if we gave ourselves a little bit of that freedom and had the courage to withstand some of the judgment. People judge from a place of insecurity and inadequacy, and that's so not my problem.
Right. And that brings me, it's a good segue to kind of circle back to what we were talking about before. And this is one of the things that I wrote about in my next book that's coming out. That is something I've been reading about and learning about a lot. It has been part of my own personal development. And that is internalized patriarchy and internalized misogyny. And now it's one of those things where once you see it, you can't unsee it, and you start seeing it everywhere. Oh man, it's painful to watch. And more specifically, it's how women tend to act out in misogynistic ways. And I would say most of the time we don't even realize that we're doing it. So the example that you gave, judgment against a woman who is a pole dancer. Yep. That's internalized misogyny.
Well, and not even all that internalized, really. So,
yeah.
Right?
Because thinking that their judgment is righteous.
Right. Yes.
And I 10 years ago, I probably would have been one of those women who was judging.
Yeah. I think we can all say that we've been there, and some of us probably fairly recently. But for me, that's related to the whole idea of shifting from becoming accidental to intentional. Because if you think about it, the accidental idea is rooted in some of those traditional views of what women do in the world. And I know lots of women who are out there crushing it in the business world, you among them. And they're doing that from a place of confidence and certainty and clarity. And it's beautiful. It's really, really beautiful. And I want more women to make that shift, to say, this is who I am. And if who you are is taking care of home and family, bless you. That's wonderful. It's never been solely my interest, a huge part of it, but not sole. And, but I just want us all to feel free to be whoever it is we genuinely want to be in the world, and then create support systems around ourselves that really enable that.
Yeah. I love that so much. Thank you, Karen, for saying all that. And I'm the reason that I am bringing that topic to light is it's directly related to your book and the work that you do, is because whether you are an intentional born alpha woman or an accidental alpha woman, or, you know, I don't know, maybe if you got shoved into the alpha woman pool, but there's going to be some pushback, whether it's from the people you love, whether it's from strangers, whether it's from anonymous people on the internet. And how it showed up in my life is, so my alphaness is both, I think, innate and learned. But I have had plenty of mostly women say, you know, when I first met you, or when I didn't know you yet, I thought you were a bitch. And some of them, I've asked them why. Why did you think that? And they can't really name it. And they're like, well, it's just your energy and kind of how you, maybe it's because of your confidence or just how you kind of carry yourself. And I find that fascinating because there's no fact to it. Like, have I been not my best self to some people? Of course.
Of course. Yes, right. We all have moments.
But for the most part, I think I'm a really nice person and fun to be around. I'm not mean or bitchy. My husband might argue with you every once in a while, but he loves me for it. I think that, and I used to be that way too. I used to judge women who were confident, and I had a couple bosses who were like that, who I did not like. And I was both intimidated by them, attracted to what they had, their confidence and their self-assuredness, but also judgmental of it. And that is all because of how I was raised and conditioned that a woman should be like. And I think it was a sort of internal thing about how women should be.
Yeah. And I said the flip of it. I mean, as a woman of my age dating, one of the comments I get often is how intimidating I am. When in fact, I mean, I'm Canadian. I'm nice. We're professionally nice, right?
So you mean men were telling you that?
Men tell me I'm intimidating regularly.
Okay.
Right? When in fact, I'm just successful and confident, and you know, I probably have a fairly sensitive bullshit meter. Right?
Have you seen that meme that's floated around that says, you're not intimidating, they're just intimidated. There's a difference.
Well, I haven't seen it, but I get it and I agree with it. Right. But again, this all is rooted back in, well, how am I supposed to be? Right? Because if I can't be me without you having an issue, then, okay, then you have an issue. That's fine. But I'm not going to change how I show up or diminish my accomplishments. I mean, for heaven's sakes, and I've worked my ass off for 20 odd years to build something that I'm really proud of. My kids are really proud of. And I'm not going to minimize that to massage somebody else's ego.
To make other people more comfortable.
Yeah.
Did you hear that?
Not going to make myself small, right? Not going to make myself small.
Yeah. To make other people comfortable. Or yes, I have done that myself. And, I talk about the fear of not wanting to outshine other people. That's a tough one. And I did a solo podcast on it a while back. And then I got so many emails of people saying, oh my gosh, that's me. I decided to write about it in my book. And it's not just the fear of shining bright. It's the fear of outshining people. And it's the tall poppy syndrome. I know that's a popular expression, I think in Australia. Yeah.
Another one. Yeah. Yeah. No, I love that idea. I can't wait for your new book. But yeah, for us to just own who we are and let the world be better because we're all shining brightly. Wouldn't that be great?
Wouldn't that be so fantastic? I'm with you. I am on Team Shine Bright. Well, I have appreciated this conversation so much, and I want to give you an opportunity. Was there anything that you wanted to say that you wanted to circle back to before we tell everybody where they can find you and where they can find the book, just to make sure that you feel complete?
I feel complete. I've really enjoyed this. I love everything that you're up to in the world. And I feel like we have a little bit of a kindred spirit thing going on here. So I'm just so grateful to have been able to be here with you.
So before we go, tell everyone where they can find you if they want to learn more.
They can find me and the book at accidentalalphawoman.com. And there is a Facebook page as well for the related to the book. And I professionally run an executive coaching company called Parachute Executive Coaching, and that's easily found online as well.
And all those links will be in the show notes. Thank you. And we're doing a book giveaway. Is that right?
We are.
We are doing a book giveaway. I am going to tell people to go to Facebook and my Facebook page, the Your Kick-Ass Life page, look for the image that shows this podcast episode and tell us what your favorite part was. Tell us what you got out of it. Tell us what you're maybe going to try to do differently. And we're going to give away 2 copies of The Accidental Alpha Woman, the guide to thriving when life feels overwhelming, with our amazing guest, Karen Wright. We are kindred spirits. Thank you so much for being here. And everyone, you know how grateful I am for your time. Remember, it's our life's journey to make ourselves better humans and our life's responsibility to make the world a better place. Bye, everyone. Thank you for listening to Your Kick-Ass Life podcast. If you'd like some extra support, we would love to see how we can help you. You can apply for private coaching by simply texting the word apply to 33777, and the link will be sent to you.
I'd like to introduce you to the Minimalist Moms podcast. It's hard enough being a mom, and the last thing you need is stress from too much stuff and an overcrowded schedule. For too long, I lived with the mindset that bigger was better, and the more I added to my life, instead of feeling better, I felt overwhelmed. It was time for a radical new mindset. Less is more. I'm not into extremes. I didn't throw everything away. My brand of minimalism is more about adding than subtracting. Get rid of the excess to make room for what you love. In other words, it's about living life with purpose. I hope you'll listen in, and my guest and myself can inspire you to think more and do with less. The Minimalist Moms podcast, available wherever you listen to podcasts.